Yo, what's poppin'? It's Tommathan. We have playoffs, and finally, it is time for another combined power rankings on not Monday, but Sunday. And I'm hyped because there are no bad teams left. I'm just ignoring the teams that don't make it because, frankly, they don't matter. I have the bracket above me, so we can take a look at that, but I'm not going to talk about that too in depth. I'm just going to get into it. So, as a Hangzhou Spark and Toronto Defiant fan, I must say they are the bottom two teams on the board by not a significant margin, but definitely. So Toronto Defiant to start off, they look good positionally, but I question Hoppa against some of these other top tanks. I also question Finale slash Aldo, whoever they choose to bring in, compared to a lot of these other flex DPS. And they don't have an X factor compared to Spark above them with Inshai. And that's the biggest thing. Who is their X factor? Hisu's not really an X factor. He's something you can build the team around, but he's not going to super carry, it feels like. So Defiant, they just kind of feel a little bit under the rest of everyone else right now after a poor stage. Now, there is the meta shift, which is to keep in mind, where you have Zarya nerfs and Sombra nerfs most prominently. Yeah, there are some Genji nerfs and D.Va nerfs, but I don't think they're going to be too impactful overall. So that brings the question, well, if it's not Zarya, is it going to be Winston or D.Va? And if it is Winston, does that make D.Va good? And if D.Va's good, does that make Zarya good? So it actually becomes a circle again? Maybe. And because of such limited time to actually practice this, because as far as I'm aware, the teams aren't actually practicing the new patch right now because they don't have access to it. So we'll see a lot of different compositions, a lot of playing to your strength, and that's just how it is. Whoever has the best read on the meta for their team this much is going to win playoffs, probably. So will the Spark bring out Gushwei? Maybe. I don't know if it matters too much. I think they just have to pick either Bernard or Gushwei. They're both equally good. Bernard has more flexibility if the Zarya is still a valid pick. So maybe I would say Bernard could be better. And then for Defiant, I think unless Monkey is obscenely strong, they're just going to run Hoppa. They seem to be more comfortable with Hoppa in. So yeah, I don't know. Defiant, the macro plays there. Individually, I don't know if they're going to stack up to the rest of these teams, specifically in the tank and flex DPS department. And the Spark, they actually kind of got their shit together in the plans. You bring back Super Rich, who should never have left. You have Pineapple instead of LFE, looks good. And, you still have Shy. Shy can compete with any single hit skin on this board and rise above them even. Hisu can compete, but he's not going to diff the lobby, right? Shy has that potential to diff even Lip, right? Merit. We can really see that. And we saw it in the midseason madness, is that the NA teams were not ready for Spark a lot of the time. Glads did beat them, and then they lost to Philly, of course, but I don't know. And anyway, above the Spark, it's going to be the London Spitfire. Thing with London, Hottie's still very inflexible. They seem to not want to play Poco, which is valid. Another thing to watch out for London, though, is they should be buffed by this patch the most, I would say, because no Zarya, and they weren't doing that. Sombra makes Ryan better. And they finally stopped playing Shaq's Backbone and that last week, which is great because Sparker should never leave that lineup. He's too good on the Sojourn. Just keep him in full time. I do have question marks similar to Defiant with Aldo or Finale. I have some question marks with Backbone. I have some question marks with the flexibility of Hottie. But other than that, it should be pretty good for them, I would expect. Well, pretty good, but just not another level, another step past this. Like, I just don't know if they have it. Unless they go back to the Ron comp and looks really good, I think as they stack up against these teams, they will be at a disadvantage. But above them is going to be Philly, so I think that first matchup of the entire tournament will go either way. I couldn't tell you who will take that. I am guessing Philly, but Zest is still, he's not injured right now, I think, or he is, or something. He should be good to go by the time he needs to play this match, right? But he still missed scrim time for at least 2 weeks, which will set you back. That is like pretty bad, especially as your star player on Philly. One of the two with MN3. So that is something to watch out for. Hopefully he's good to go. But I wouldn't be surprised if it takes him a moment to like settle in and like fix not fix anything, but like get back to form, which I think will hurt Philly a lot in the long run. Also, maybe the worst back line in this tournament, I would say, between Aim God Fixa. Yeah, I'm gonna call them the worst back line. Unless Sparks bench Super Rich again, probably the worst back line, which could hurt them. But we've seen it before where DPS just win. So next, I'm going to put the Florida Mayhem, I believe. So Florida had a really good looking play and undoubtedly the best team in that tournament. They just seemed really good in their macro positioning. Someone looked insane on the Zarya, and there's no problems there for whichever tank. If Winston's better, that's an even bigger boon for someone. Checkmate's consistency is still it's kind of plagued him throughout this season. He has that potential to be game defining, but for the most part, I would say he gets outplayed against the top teams. So that's something to watch out for. How they rotate their backline around will be something to watch out for as well, because Onimo, Lucio full time still. Is Sir Jed coming back? Are you running double flex support? Because I like to do that. And the biggest thing with Florida is they usually actually struggle to figure out what the meta is initially, and they have 5 days before their match to figure it out. So they have to get it right away. And saying that, it makes me want to lower them, but I'm gonna hope that across all these metas, they know what they want to do really quick here. They figure it out, and they look good. And you know what? If it takes them 1 day to figure it out, that's okay. You can go into losers bracket and then make a run there. We've seen it before. So I think Florida is probably a nice middle team here. The longer they go in bracket, the more dangerous they are. And then above Florida, I'm actually going to go with Atlanta. Now, it is playoffs Atlanta, so it's very hard to actually account for what they're doing, because they had a all right countdown cup. I don't think it was like insane, but it was better than most. And their summer showdown, of course, wasn't great. But the biggest thing for Atlanta, if they want to make it a deep run here, I want to see Speedily go crazy. I want to see Speedily go crazy. I want to see some more rotations where you bring in Kai more, because it was mostly just Speedily Venom this entire stage. Just no Kai, which is weird because Sojourn is as strong as she's ever been still. I want to see I just want to see it. I just want to see Atlanta play as they can play. And it's been a moment since we've seen them in the playoffs. I haven't seen it since Midseason Madness, since the tournament. So hopefully they've been storing that energy from the summer showdown and they're ready to go. I am thinking that playoff Atlanta, maybe it's scary, but I don't know if it's scary enough to really push them far. I think they barely beat Florida in the normal regular season last time they met. I think it's gonna be close again. I'm giving them a playoff buff still because they're Atlanta, but I don't feel entirely confident sending them to the moon, just because I want to see more from Speedily. That's the biggest thing for me. Speedily comes into his own fully. Yes, he has some good stats. Yeah, he's playing well. I just think there's so much more he can give, and he needs to do it now. And if it's not now, next season it'll be there probably. But yeah, I'm gonna put Atlanta at, what is this, 7 or no, 5? What? 6? No, 7. This is 7. I can't do math. There it is. It's 7. Anyway, above Atlanta, I'm gonna run Shanghai here. Shanghai's interesting because they kind of fumble around a little bit with Bebe, and they brought him back in the end of it. There was still a lot of Bebe, but the biggest question is, what the hell is going on with Fleta? Just take him off of Tracer. Just put in Who Are You if Genji's still good. Who Are You Shanghai is so much better than Fleta Shanghai this season. And then hopefully, you bring in Fate. I think Fate is probably still their better option. Yeah, Void has gotten a lot better from the beginning of this season, but I think that whenever they play the Ball or the Winston, they're like the only team that's actually committed to a Ball other than like London, in the Midseason Madness. So I don't know. I just think Shanghai is kind of hard to place because it could come out. You can get Fleta doing literally nothing. You can get Lip carrying. You can get Who Are You going crazy. You could get either of the tanks in, I wouldn't be surprised. And then just keep Bebe on the bench, but they seem to like playing Bebe, so it's like the only consistent thing about Shanghai is Lip and Izayaki. Those are the only two things you can count on, and you can count that they will perform at the top of their game. Um, I think you know what? I think that's a decent spot for them. Now I could see them all the way down here. I could see them here. I could see them anywhere on this list. To be straight up, but I'm gonna put them at what is this? Fifth, sixth? That's six. This was seven. This is six. Okay. And now we have some good teams left. We have some damn good teams left. I'm gonna go with Shock. Now, hear me out. Why do you have Shock below all these guys? Well, that's a good question. Proper's the GOAT. What are they doing with Striker now, with Sam, with Kilo? What's the plan there? You don't have to worry about Sombra anymore, which threw them for a loop. So this is kind of a buff to them. Kaluge on the Diva will be good as well. There's always the Mikey factor. Are you going to play Mikey? And why? I think they will play Mikey. I don't think they've learned. And I'm not high on Mikey at all. I'm just not. Especially if they believe Mikey is their better Winston, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a complete wrap. Like toss the towel over. The streets are done. And that's my biggest problem with the Shock. It's like kind of like it's like kind of bullshit because it's like, well, you're saying you're just because of Mikey. I think Mikey's really bad. Like not really bad, but like relative to the rest of these tanks that are playing, brutal. Now Proper will do well enough that they can probably place pretty well in this tournament. And they get second opponent selection for whoever comes out. So they can probably make a distance, but damn, Proper's gonna have to do some heavy lifting, I think. And now they have an extra DPS they can fumble around with as well. But we'll see what Cresty does. Next, I'm actually going to go with the Gladiators. I don't know if they have that dog in them. I think they lost the dog. I think the dog is out of the cage. Coming out of my cage is the dog. Kevster's still really good. If it goes back to Winston, Reiner is in a great spot, right? And you still have Shu, so they still have all that. But I don't know. I think they just lost something without Potathon, without Ons. Even it's Happy just hasn't filled that gap, and it feels like the team that used to be ultra flexible lost that core component. They lost who they are whenever they lost Potathon, because now Happy is he's just a Sojourn player or an Ashe player or Widow player. He's just a hit scam. They can't run any funky Tracer Genji stuff. They can't run anything like that really. Like they can, but it's not nearly as good. They have to actually like take Happy outside of his comfort zone. The comfort zone is not everything anymore. And I don't know, I feel like they've lost the dog in them, like straight up. Now, if the meta shifts, it does look like it will be good for them because Sojourn should still be good, no problems there. Genji should still be. I think Genji should still be fine. If you Kevster on the Tracer, should be good. The meta should be good for them, but they just feel like they've lost. I don't know. They've lost a step to me. I'm gonna just put them third. And then with how well the rest of the bottom three teams that are down here have performed lately, it's hard to really justify. It's not hard to justify them above. You can see it whenever you just say, "Oh, Shu's the best, Kevster's the best, Reiner will be on Winston, maybe all that stuff." But I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna go with Houston next. Yeah, you know what? They looked really bad in that last week. I don't care about that last week. It's legit Mickey Mouse. No one cares about it. They look damn good against Dallas. The Dante, Diva, Zarya. Now, will they go back to Doomfist? Probably not. I'd assume Doom's not in a great spot right now. So then what's going on with the Winston? If it is Winston, or are you just going to run Zarya Diva? I think this is a team that would maybe avoid the Winston. And I think Dante has a sick, nasty Winston on him. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe. It just is. But you have Pelican Merit, maybe the scariest DPS line in this tournament. Looking at the DPS lines, I think Pelican Merit has a really good argument. Now, you could say Zest MN3. You could say that. I see the argument. You could say Lip, who are you, if who are you is being played. I think it would be Lip, who are you, if they do run that, actually. But Pelican Merit, barring who are you making an appearance, I think they're the scariest DPS line. And then they have a great tank. You have a really good support line with Lastro, Creative, Lep, whatever order you want them in. Big Houston should be good. And then we have Dallas and Seoul, the two top teams in their regions coming into this. Who am I going with? I'm going with the Seoul Dynasty. Now, it's time for Seoul to rise up. They fumbled the midseason madness beyond compare. That was awful. It was tragic, really. You lose to the Spark, no problems there. They did well. You lose to Atlanta, it's just a rough bracket. But you're the Seoul Dynasty. You should just beat those teams. Like there should be no rough bracket for the Seoul Dynasty, and there just was. So going over to Dallas, they lost to Houston at Alan. Now most of these matches won't have a crowd. The final 2 days will, I believe, which is just winners final, loser final, grands, right, or something. But regardless, Dallas, whenever they weren't able to just run it with Zarya or Junker Queen, not that great. Will they be able to just run it with Zarya? There's a question mark there. And because there's a question mark there, despite Dallas looking better in the last meta, I think, in the last probably 2 stages, Seoul Dynasty, they are meta proof, right? There is nothing wrong. Like Smurf can do everything. That's why a lot of people say Smurf was better than Honda this season. He can do it all. And if he can play Winston, which is his best hero, let's not get it twisted. He's still a Winston player at heart. Soul's in great shape. Prophet's on his top of his game. Fitz, Stalker. No, they're not Flip or, anything like that, but they're damn good. And that's all you need whenever you have 2 of the best in their role beside you. And Iris has made this team look great. Iris is... I don't know if... I'm still not sold who's won that trade. I'll make a video on that after the playoffs, who I think won the Iris creative trade. Because right now, it is dead even. I think Iris gives Soul an extra edge. He has a higher peak than creative, and that's what you need for playoffs. You need that peak, right? Being consistently good is fine, but you just need to... it just takes one team on one day to peak, and you're out. It doesn't matter how consistent you are. So I like what Soul's done. And then Vindame is just the best the best main support in the league, I think. Chio's the better Lucio. Vindame's a better overall main support. That's my thoughts. Seoul Dynasty are poised to win this. I like them right now a lot. Now, will I pred them in my bracket? Probably. Spoilers, probably. But we'll see. So anyway, like this video if you like it. Let me know your power rankings down below. Of course, I'm very interested to see what you have going on, because this is crazy. I could see any argument for a lot of these teams and the top 7 to be higher. I think the bottom 5 I'm pretty confident in. I don't think you can move any of those guys higher. But Atlanta, I could see people putting Atlanta high if they rate the playoff stuff. I could see you putting Houston low because they're chokers. I could see a lot of that stuff. But this is what I'm going with. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a good one. And deuces.